Greetings, mortals, and welcome back to Arc Mode, the Blindness of Eternity. When last we left off, we'd just gotten horribly butchered by some bandits. But not as horribly butchered as we would have imagined. If we had done things slightly differently on the first fight against the bandits, we might have actually pulled it off. So, we have confirmed that the first save worked. Did I overwrite my other save? Oh, I overwrote my other save, so I guess we're definitely not going back to that one. So we're overwriting this one now, and I'm going to create a secondary save file, because if I have any more technical issues, I want to be able to go back to the previous save. So, let's see. We have the sword equipped. Kind of tempting to use a torch. I'm not going to be able to hit anything with a torch though. Mace, not one of my things. Accuracy was 13! 13 accuracy, it's so terrible. Okay, so we're just going to stick with the sword for now, I think. And we are going to do just the sword on its own. And hopefully we'll be able to deal enough damage to kill at least 2 of these guys before we get into the pissing contest with the other guy. As for how we're going to kill the other guy, I guess it doesn't... 18 and 13. You know what, I'm going to try this instead. Slashing and crushing is actually a really good combination because the armor that prevents dealing damage to one tends to be crappy against the other. I'm going to see what we can do here. A?
No problem.
So let's get over here. As far as we can, which is, say, not terribly. Did she just graze this guy for 2 damage? Seriously? Oh, she has the wrong weapon. So she grazed him for 3 crush damage. Let's take a look at those. He's 6 DR against crushing. Not terribly promising. So I hit him for 15 points damage. So yeah, it doesn't look like this is going to work out too well. This is definitely not as much damage as I can do with the sword. Okay, so let's put the sword instead.
No problem.
And I might just have to bypass this guy for now and go to... I can try and fight off without a million wolves. Let's see how that works. See that? 4 wolves. Yeah, this is why I was saying that this is not meant to be done solo. Yeah, we're not going to be able to do this solo, we're just going to load the quick save. And that's... I'd love to be able to clear out this bandit camp here, and I almost feel like I could do it. The problem is, with major fatigue, we've got the minus 20 to our accuracy. That is a huge penalty to accuracy. Crap. And I'm thinking that I have 2 options here basically. One is to clear as much of this area as I can solo, and the other is to go into town and use less, what should we call it? Less, like do less camping. Now, oh right, I'm actually just remembering. I had made the same decision last time that it would be better off to do more stuff solo as opposed to do and just camp here to allow myself to do that. The problem with that is that you cannot camp in the wilds solo. This is a dangerous place, and sleeping you are unprotected. You have to have someone to stand watch when you are asleep. It's just that simple. Someone has to be standing watch. Which means that we are going to not be able to do what I was hoping. Okay. So we have this little thing. Switch to a sword so we can actually hit this thing. So we have only a minus 17 to hit, which isn't too shabby. We should be able to kill this thing. So with a minus 17 to hit, that means that we've got 32% chance to miss, and everything else will
I could bed down here.
Why, I could bed down here. Thank you for the idea, Aldrea, but... Okay, so let's get out of here. And it doesn't look like these guys are as far as I'd like them to be. I'd like for them to not be able to surround me like that. They surrounded me anyway. I really wish that they would just do what I tell them to. Or what I'd like them to. I think that I'm going to be able to fight and kill these, even though they do surround me here. Maybe not. That's bad. That was a lot of damage all of a sudden. I think one of them crit. And as soon as I get down to the first one, they can't crit anymore because they shouldn't have the flanked.
After 'em!
But it doesn't matter. I took too much damage too quickly there, so I need to, basically...
No problem.
just not take quite so much damage right in the beginning of the fight. And if I can find a good place to somebody. See how far we can get this time. I don't know how far they'll chase me. Seems to be pretty far. If not, I'm a little bit of direction. And it looks like to the ends of the earth. Yeah, that guy crit me with 16 points of piercing damage. So these guys are doing piercing damage. And it didn't occur to me, but I should be checking to see if I have something that's better against piercing damage than what I have equipped right now. There's no way I'd be able to do this in Iron Man mode. I'd have to play the game very differently. I'd have to play very carefully, which is not something that I enjoy doing. It says 5 resist pierce. This has 6 resist pierce. So let's equip this.
Sure.
It's 1 extra resistance, which is always good. I'm gonna see if I can maybe fight them next to this rock here. That will help. Oh, good. This is perfect. So we're gonna fight this one-on-one, and then hopefully we will fight the next 2 one-on-one as well. There we go. So while it's prone, I still got the same minus 14 elements there. Okay, so we're just gonna hit X so that she doesn't move. But unfortunately, they both managed to get melee. And we'll see if we can kill one before the combined damage of the 2 of them kills me.
Damn, missed.
pretty heavy hit. Much prefer when they hit me. Oh, that one crit me again. Let's see, what are their chances to crit anyway? They have a plus 18, so they have about a 18% chance to crit. One of the nice things about this game is how easy it is to calculate that kind of stuff. They have a plus 18, which also means that they cannot miss. They cannot miss with their attacks against me. They can only graze me. They just crit me.
Missed.
I'm looking for him to hit me really terrible amounts of damage so that I can regenerate through it. On the plus side right now, this is looking good. Ooh, especially with that 14 damage hit. Boom! Whew! Pone dizzled. So, we killed those 3. And we are now in a position where we're not going to be able to fight anymore. Looks like there is somewhat random equipment gains. I'm just going to put all this stuff in there. Actually, maybe not. I don't remember seeing stuff, but I do remember it being something similar to that, so maybe it was the exact same thing. Anyway, we're gonna leave for now. We spent enough time in the wilderness. We killed out the Shorps here. We did not go after the bandits. We took out the Shorps instead, which is all that we're going to be able to manage solo. We might be able to take out those bandits solo, but not with the fatigue that we're currently experiencing.
Hello.
This man appears to be hurriedly dismantling his camp in quick, jerky movements. He looks up as he approaches, expression tense and drawn. "Greetings," he says, a little breathless. "On your way south, is it? You look to be a long way from home, meaning no offense. Not sure what brought you down here, but it's no place to go wandering alone. The sooner you're clear of these woods, the better, I think." Let's see. I'm gonna go with number 3. Let's hurry. Man looks down at the tent and then in his hands. "I mean to follow my own advice. Came out here for a hunt, me and a friend of mine. Thought we'd bring a stag home, eat something other than bread for once. Came up on a bear instead, great monstrous thing. And Pearly, he didn't make it. I don't know what I'll tell his wife. In any case, this forest already cost me a friend. I'm heading home before it takes anything else." So, where can you find the bear? In a cave a ways up that way. I wouldn't seek it out if I were you. It is a great big brute of a beast. Would hate to hear that it took another life. In any case, this forest already cost me a friend. I'm heading home before it takes anything else. Name's not. Born and raised in Gilded Vale. Haven't had a spot of luck since. Luckier than Pearly, I guess. So what happened to us? We didn't see it coming. We were following a stag. Pearly, he saw something in the brambles, and we went tearing out after it. We all but stumbled into the cave. Poor Pearly didn't stand a chance. The bear was on top of him before we knew what was happening. The beasts will take what they will, I suppose, and this time Galloway's favor fell upon the bear.
Yeah.
Indeed. So let's not go that way toward the wolves. And that's what we're going to do. Okay, we're heading south. So we're going to go to Gilded Vale. Maybe it should have increased.
Time for a nap.
There's all this something that I can see for having a lot of it in self-rail. Pure willpower is kinda her thing. That is an unpleasant looking tree.
You must be one of the new settlers. Welcome to Gilded Vale. You'll be pleased to know that we've had some recent vacancies here.
Interesting. I'm gonna go number 1. The only answer you hear is the buzzing of flies from the trees.
Of course, we'll need to make some inquiries first. The inestimable Lord Radric VII has taken great pains to insulate our town from Widewind's legacy. Have you ever conceived a Hollowborn child?
I'm gonna go number 1.
An infant born without a soul, of course. Lord Radric has made it his first priority to eliminate this scourge from our village. I should warn you, stranger. Here in Gilded Vale, we have a special place for dissidents, charlatans, and those who would hide a curse in our midst. His lordship's wife is with child and due any day now. Without his approval, I shan't be able to find you a permanent settlement. It will have to wait until after the birth. We can continue our interview then, after the bell tolls from Radric's hold to signal my lord's new heir. In the meantime, you can find temporary accommodations at the inn just southwest of here.
Let's see. 1 and 3 are just right out, because telling this guy is nuts, as you guys can see, right? Like, they're hanging a lot of people in this town. So, we're not telling him anything. He already mentioned something about charlatans and curses and stuff like that. There's none of this crap. So we're just gonna ask him what the heck this Hollowborn stuff is, right? And then we're gonna move on with our lives. I forget you foreigners do not have the curse in your homelands. The Hollowborn have been a scourge upon the Deerwood for almost 15 years now. Children born without souls. Pitiful, dumb things that breathe barely but do not truly live. Some say the Hollowborn are disease. Some say they're punishment from the god. In truth, no one knows, but they began spreading after the Saints' War, and so the name Widewind's legacy stuck in honor of the foul, blasphemous pretender. Lord Radric's decrees may seem strict at times, but he has our best interests at heart. If you have any other questions, don't hesitate to ask. It's important that everyone in Gilded Vale understand our rulers. And here's the problem, is that it now won't let me not... It won't let me not say things that I would not ask this guy. It's like, there are plenty of people in this... Well, okay, maybe there aren't plenty of people left in the village, but there are other people I can ask my questions. I don't need to ask this guy, but apparently I do. So, I'm gonna go number 3. You'll want to mind where you mentioned that. Trespassing in Gwithin ruins is illegal, not to mention dangerous. You probably saw someone attempting a new ritual to appease the gods. People will try anything these days. Barath have mercenary... Mercy, not mercenary. And certainly have. I just realized that I set my alarm. Oops. So we're going to set this for 45 minutes. I'm gonna go with maybe so. No reason to say anything too interesting. I'm gonna go number 1.
Whatever your problem, it sounds like a matter for an animancer. However, the only animancer in Gilded Vale isn't in any condition to speak. Consider yourself fortunate. After she failed Lord Radric, we saw to it that she wouldn't profit from the misplaced trust of others. A bad cure is often worse than none at all. But if you're set on finding a bottle of troll piss or a dead Audra pebble to rub on your forehead, you're welcome to check her pockets. A little corpse stink is nothing when you're digging for shit. My advice, however, is to be satisfied that you escaped and leave it at that.
Okay, and see, this is the thing I was expecting him to
Keep
say.
out of...
What? Didn't want.
Listen!
2 tolls. Let that be the last. 3. Gods have mercy.
It seems your arrival is ill-timed. 3 bells toll only for the death of a Radric. If fear Lord Radric's heir is lost, or else Hollowborn, and so lost all the same. You should tread carefully. Circumstances have changed a great deal.
I'm gonna go with number 1. You come to us at a time of mourning. The legacy has struck at the heart of Gilded Vale. Our efforts to redeem ourselves in the eyes of Vera must be redoubled. He sets a steady gaze on you. I'm gonna go with number 3. I'll know more details when the messengers arrive. The vagaries of childbirth, perhaps, but that is not your concern. Number 4, I guess. That doesn't make any sense, but anyway. I can be sure of nothing right now. I advise you to get more rest. The inn or a stable for all I care. Find me afterwards. I'll know more soon enough. So, we need to get some rest.
Were you looking for someone in that tree? I could introduce you.
Three. Seems you're better off than most around here, then. I'm gonna go over to Opera's home. I'm gonna explore the town before I continue. Before I rest and stuff. A dear wooden woman is standing in front of the fireplace humming a quiet tune to herself, or perhaps to her unborn child, for she's clearly quite pregnant. She turns her head slightly as you enter.
Good day, stranger.
Well, finally, I was starting to think... Oh, I'm sorry, I was expecting someone else. She gives you a cautious smile. Can I help you? I'm gonna go 3. My sister, Kaliska, is traveling with one of the... Here's a Kalisha. I don't remember how they pronounce it. She sent a letter before she came. She said she was going to pay her way by working as a guard for the caravan master. She always was a tough one. I don't suppose you've seen her on the road, or the caravan perhaps? It's Master Odema's. Afra covers her mouth with a hand, eyes wide with horror. For a few moments she can manage nothing but strangled, voiceless gasping, her eyes brimming with tears. I knew. I told her it was a dangerous path to take. Kaliska was always certain she could take on any danger. Oh, my poor sister, I'm so sorry. Stranger, I can't believe she's gone. If only I hadn't called her here, then... If I hadn't written to her, she may be still alive somewhere. 1. Quit your sniveling. How are you going to raise a child if you're this weak? Horrible. The other one. I'm worried about the baby, about the legacy. I told Kaliska as much as I could, but all I know is that for some time now every child born in the Gilded Vale has been soulless, empty. It's happened to so many mothers in Lord Radric, he's exiled all of them, calling it a sign of the gods' disfavor. With my Hathort gone, I don't know how I'd manage if I lost my home too. I hoped Kaliska could help me. They say that Ranga, an old midwife, knows a way to prevent a child from being hollowborn. But she moved south to Anthlog's Compass 2 seasons ago. The journey's too far for me, I can't make it as I am. But I don't have anyone else, now with Kaliska gone. Please, can you help me? Sure, why not? You will? Oh, God bless you. Here, I'll give you the coins to pay her with. You didn't trouble yourself with that. I think it's a drink she fashions out of... Well, I'm not sure, but it shouldn't be too much of a burden to carry back. Anslot's Compass is what we call the lagoon to the south. You'll have to cross the wilds to get there. That's what keeps me from trying it myself. She clasps her hand together. Thank you again, truly. You'll be saving us both. 20 copper! Nice! Okay, so... delivering news of her sister's death apparently doesn't give us any experience. It's just mean. So, if we see the woman, then we'll go ahead and do it. This is relatively low priority though, since the thinking that Aldrea has is basically if someone has a cure for this, in the area that's so close by, I would think that it would not be... They wouldn't have every child that's been born like this. This is sort of like probably a lost cause. And talk to these people. Man and woman appear to have been in deep conversation, working at closing two bulging satchels. They move to embrace until the woman notices your approach and pauses, her smile.
Well met, friend.
Can we help you? She looks to your companion, brows furrowing in the confusion. Do you know this woman, Nanton? Yes, I think we met in Valewood. I warned her about the bear. Glad to see you've made it. Was there something else you wanted? Number 1. Yes, I imagine so. We're packing for a trip, actually. Ingrid laughs. I've been meaning to visit Defiance Bay, and, well, in truth, I think I've had my fill of this town. Time for some new scenery, he says. That's interesting. Only that you'll want to be moving on as soon as you can. You'll have seen the tree, I imagine, but the rot goes deeper. If you're looking for work, say you have a better chance of it elsewhere. We're headed for Defiance Bay ourselves, so Defiance Bay is where he's heading to. It's good to know. So, let's pop up to the windmill. We know there's more grain in there, Trumbull. We won't settle for scraps while you grow fat on our crops. The first of you drunkards come through that door gets a shot between the eyes. God's help me, Swainer. I'll put you down like a dog. Come away for now, lads, but we'll be back, Trumbull, and we'll have fair prices, or by the flame, we'll have a net reckoning. So that's interesting. Fair prices, huh? An elven man stands before you, his relatively stocky build suggesting a life of labor. His face is pale and drawn, his eyes wide. Behind him, a younger man and woman exchange worried glances. The miller raises a club as you enter, it shakes violently in his grasp. Get back if you value your lives! By the way, the way that Aldrea would respond to this under normal circumstances, she does not respond well to threats. In this particular circumstance, he just had someone threatening him and stuff. It's a specific circumstance. So we're going to go with number 1. Who are you? Swainer roping foreigners into his little crusade now? Number 3. Really? Hylia's tits. Could I use a friendly face? I take it you heard some part of what the crowd's asking for. Grain, as if I've got it all tucked away somewhere. Swainer's been egging that lot on for days now. They've been keeping clear so far, but if things keep on like they are, I don't know how much longer we've got before things get messy. Please, if you're not here on his behalf, maybe you could speak to Swainer. He won't listen to me anymore. Just explain that we're all getting smaller rations now. We're all making sacrifices. We'll go with number 3. So I'm gonna go with number 1, I guess. Where to begin? Swainer's whipped them up into a froth, going on about grain stores. Claims I've hidden away most of it. All I do with the grain is sell it. I can't create it out of thin air, and I can't hand it out for free. I pay the farmers for the crops they bring in, and I sell what comes out of the mill. Most of it goes to the Black Hound on the west side of the river for ale. And Swainer and his lot don't mind that part. You take a look at the fields on the way to town, the crop's blighted. And most of what I'm getting from the farmers, it's gone off, rotted through. I can't pay top prices for blighted wheat, and I've barely got enough good grain to go around. Swainer's howling after things he has no right to. Go number 2. Pretty clean story for a messy situation. It's not. Look, Swainer's always been a rotten bastard. With stores so limited, maybe I save the good stuff for people who deserve it. Offer, for instance. She's expecting a child. Should I let her starve instead? I'm gonna go with number 2. The innkeeper, for instance. It's better not to worry anyone. I'll be trading for supplies soon enough. If we can just keep things calm until then, we'll be in the clear. I wouldn't drink the ale is all I'm saying. Dwarf, the one standing out there spreading lies about among the villagers. Bastard's been here for decades and he hasn't gotten any kinder with time. I guess. Picked a bad time to come visiting. Gilded Vale's had its shine scrapped off. Just a big dung heap now, and Swainer thinks he's king of it. They're all mad. Let's see. Guess we'll go over down here to the smithy. Rolling on down. Let's make powerful unarmed attacks. This one is here. These ones are counted signaling and you take from them, but that one does not, so. This Ama man is of impressive build, towering above the countertop. His skin is a dusky blue of the deeper oceans, and his thick arms boast corded muscle. Small ears frame his square-jawed face, coated with smeared soot and arcing black tattoos alike. He offers a broad smile as you approach. Welcome! You're the first new face I've seen in quite a long time. What can I do for you? Go with, number 1, I guess? You come to us at a strange time, I'm afraid. The stock's not what it used to be, but we've some fine weapons and armor to offer yet. All for it right here at the Black Hammer. What happened? We just don't have the supplies. Been expecting the next delivery for near a week now, and we haven't seen a sign of it. Have to expect they were hit by bandits. The road out east is crawling with them. Or my workers ran out for the wagons themselves, maybe, to make some coin. As if that lot would dare. If you happen to be headed that way, maybe you could keep an eye out for the supply wagon. Or my shipment, at least. They'd be cutting through the Black Meadow, I expect. Only good road for it. As it is, most of our weapons go to His Grace Lord Raedric. Tuatanu glances at the nearby guard. And that's as it should be. But it doesn't leave much for outsiders. We don't have the iron. Well, that seems sensible. I'll go do that. Well, I guess I'll ask where they're traveling from first. We send the wagon up to New Hayamar with weapons, and it swings around through Logholm and the like to purchase supplies. Shortest route back is through Black Meadow, and then north through the wilds. Had a trader come through with word that they'd made it to Logholm, but haven't seen a thing since. Heard a thing since. Yeah, too. I'd appreciate your trying anyhow. You bring back the supplies at least, and I'll have much more to offer you. A discount for start, and if you find my workers, you give them a good smack upside the head for me. So, let's see. We have a guard here. I'm going to talk to this guy. That shifty little Orlan better watch himself. The shifty little Orlan. Not many people in here just these days, just me and Raedric's people. Or Radric's people, rather. So, I'm gonna go to the road south just to unlock it. I'm gonna go to the road east to unlock that as well. And that is gonna be that. We have another person to talk to over here. We have the Black Hound Inn, and that's... Okay, we can turn on... So we can now go to Esternwood. Fast mode leading the way. I should have had fast mode on this the third time, sorry guys. Zoom, zoom, zoom. You see 4 people gathered by the door to an inn. Their raised voices and chopping gestures suggest an argument reaching its climax. The first figure raises his hands for calm. His face is partially obscured by a hood, but his height and stature suggest an element.
I meant no offense. Let's put this matter to rest over a round, shall we? My treat.
Hoping to soothe our pride with a few Adira coppers, eh? We don't need your coin.
Hang on, never mind. One of the other men points at the hooded elf. His eyes rest on the drink, but his gaze focused, mocking us even while he shelters in our village. Just goes to show what these fancy Adir manners are worth. We don't take to that kind of treatment, not from foreigners, especially not from Adirans.
Go on. Say it again. I'm itching for an excuse.
Why, you're itching for the kindling touch of your sister, you cocksfeather!
I'll cut that barrel-licking tongue out of your head.
This is a misunderstanding. I didn't say whatever it is you think I said. We've nigh quarrel.
Interesting. So, he might be possessed, or he might be
That's where you're
crazy.
wrong.
Gonna go with number 1. I'm gonna go with number 1 again. He's reaching for something. It's not the rapier at his side. It's either a wand or a throwing dagger, and you don't look ready to deal with either. They look at each other. One of the men gives the other two a warning shake of his head before turning to you. We're done for now, but this one better watch his step around here before, because we're not going anywhere. As the three stumble away, stumble? That was some fast stumbling. The elf turns to you, the tension almost gone from his smooth
Not
face.
quite how I hoped to get to know the neighbors. Thank you for your timely assistance with that awkward situation.
Glad I could help.
Courtesy is a rare pleasure in these parts. Though your accent suggests that you are no more local than I.
Straightens his hood, and you note the remains of a fraying embroidery on his gloves. His boots are caked with dirt of many months' travel, but the leatherwork beneath is sturdy and fine.
I suppose introductions are in order after that little fiasco. Aloth Corvisor, at your service.
I'm gonna go with number 1.
I'm a wizard by training, and an adventurer by necessity. I was born in the Seathwood, part of the mainland of the Adir Empire, and both of my parents served the nobility, which afforded me an education for which I'm grateful. However, there were no open positions in those houses, and so I decided to seek new means in a new land. And how exactly did you come to be here? In Gwithan Ruins? Oh, those can be dangerous places during the best of times, which these are not. And half the locals would arrest you for trespassing, and the rest would kill you outright. I'm curious, what exactly did you find there?
Go with number 1.
And you survived? I've heard such a thing was impossible. Well, it seems you either have a knack for timing or the favor of the gods.
I'm gonna go with number 1.
An excellent question. I came looking for fresh air and cheap land. Instead, the magistrate gave me directions to the inn and a story about the local lord's expectant wife. But I take it that's a familiar tale.
Let's see. This guy's a wizard. So I think I'm gonna go with number 2, actually.
Indeed. The local lord has searched far and wide for similar specialists. He has rid himself of them almost as desperately.
I expected such expertise would be best sought elsewhere. Go 2.
I'm afraid that was a matter of misunderstandings and mistranslations. It doesn't help that people in these parts remember their war with Adir like it was yesterday.
I'm gonna go with number 1. Ah, that. As I tried to tell them, they misheard me. It happens all too easily after a few pints, and the accent doesn't help. I heard the same thing. For just a moment, he looks as if he's about to say something else. His expression brightens with mischief, but before he can speak, he forces a tight smile, biting his lips so hard you expect to see blood. Finally, his face relaxes and he shakes his head. I should speak more clearly next time. My apologies. Interesting. Oh. I'm not gonna tell him he doesn't look like a settler. There's no real reason.
As should I, given recent events. It's just as well. I've had enough of the watered wine and lumpy beds at the inn. They say even the owner tired of the place. Just up and left one day. It explains quite a lot about the upkeep. Perhaps I could join you. I could use a change of scenery, and I find it's better to travel in numbers.
Okay. She needs a second, at the very least. She needs someone to be awake when she is sleeping. So, number one it is.
Excellent. I shall follow you.
So, we have our second
Eh?
party member. And, let's see.
Eh?
We need 500 experience. And, unfortunately, this place doesn't seem like a terribly safe place to rest. But we'll just have to make do. Alright. Let's run class mode. So opening that, I think, would be a criminal act.
This won't stop me for long.
Do I want to use lockpicks on this? Tempting. I think we'll just wait on it. We'll have more mechanical skills soon, so. Looks like we're outside again. We're just gonna head to the end.
Welcome.
Oh, greetings and welcome to the Black Hound Inn. The innkeeper bows her head curtly. Please sit where you like. Would you like a drink or a room? We have two available at the moment, and I'm afraid we can't offer much by way of good meal today, unless you're fond of cold porridge. 5. Alof looks at you and shakes his head quickly. It isn't by choice, I assure you. We used to serve some of the finest meals in Deerwood. We've had damnable run of luck is all. It's been a bad season for crops and we're running low on supplies. I sent Tenfrith up north to stock up. Tenfrith's our cook, you see. An artist with a good roast, but it's been days since he was supposed to return and we haven't seen any good sign of him. I've only just taken over from the last owner myself. I don't know what I'll do if he doesn't turn up. I'll try to find him for you. Really? I'd be grateful to you if you did. He was traveling through the Valewood. It's probably nothing, a broken wheel maybe, but I do worry. Alright, well, we can't do it today because we need to get our rest on. So let's access this menu. And start setting. And keep the quarterstaff. Beer. +4 will, +10 max endurance, -2 focus on hit, -2 perception, -4 resolve. Some sort of drug. We need that. And trade. So all that crap. Clothes. We want to keep one of each type of these at the very least. Okay, we can sell the wolf hides. I want to not sell too much in the way of this kind of stuff, so let's sell this stuff. It's tempting to recruit a level 1 adventurer, but I'm not going to. For this run, I'm pretty sure I'm going to just not recruit Your sleep is restless and feverish and fevered, assaulted by hisses and whispers, blanketed with a suffocating anxiety. You open your eyes to awaken and find yourself in front of the gilded veil's gallows tree, the creaking of its ropes growing louder in your mind until the sound is deafening. Hanging from the tree is an old dwarf woman whose face is shriveled inward like a moldering fruit. Her head hangs limply to one side. As you look at her, she looms larger and larger in your mind until she is mirror inches from your face. Suddenly, her head snaps up and her eyes open, and they are empty, and behind them is a vast nothingness that makes your stomach drop. Her mouth slowly parts, and with a gust of rancid air, she speaks a word. Watcher. You jolt awake, the foul smell of the dwarf woman's breath still permeating your nostrils. Sweat runs down your face in thick droplets, and your skin is soaked from head to toe. You remember the woman. You remember seeing her decaying face when you spoke with the magistrate. He called her an animancer. Though it fills you with new and uneasy apprehension, you feel a strange compulsion to see this woman once more, if only to confirm she is truly dead. So, as it did just mention, we feel compelled to go take a look.
How may I help? Yes?
Yeah?
The squat, distended body of an elderly dwarf woman dangles from a thin, crooked bough that sags at the end of the tug of the produce. The bloated purple flesh of her neck, worn away in patches like moth-eaten linen, bulges over the rope that suspends her, and her lifeless head rolls forward, rigidly from one side to the other when the breeze shifts. You perceive a faint glow around her that casts no light on its surroundings, but there is a tepid warmth to it, and you feel somehow that you could reach out and touch it. Not with your hands, but with some other aspect of yourself that has no worldly dimension. You take a deep breath, clearing your mind, focusing on your objective. As you exhale, you feel yourself spreading out toward the hanging woman, perceiving all that lies between you and her with new, unfamiliar awareness. Once you've expanded enough to reach her, there's a sudden jolt in your mind, a ringing electrical surge of images and words and sounds. Involuntarily, you shut your eyes and feel yourself being pulled down into some deeper consciousness in a space occupied only by you and the hanging woman. And when you open them again, she is staring at you with eyes clouded in milky fog. Her body still swaying in the wind, you no longer feel from a tree that stands planted in a misty void. The woman gives a slow nod of her head, the rope creaking as she does so, and she smiles at you.
Have you come here for me, dear? Or have you gotten lost? Ah, it is both, I think. Yes?
One is silly, there's no reason to ask your imagination whether you are imagining something. I'm gonna go number 2.
Is that what we're doing? Perhaps it just seems that way. Perhaps it is the easiest way for your mind to make sense of it. I think it is a very good choice.
Interesting. So information is being moved back and forth somehow. Whether we're actually talking or not is up for debate. Oh, number 3.
Did you now, dear? My, that would be something, wouldn't it? Could be luck, could certainly be. A storm can be a careless thing. Or maybe it got its hands around your soul but couldn't pick it up. A soul can be heavy if it stayed in one piece through its time. Strong souls, we call them in the trade. Cold, I mean. Call them. Those days are all behind me, no?
We go number 4.
Oh, yes. Entropy. Rimagan's work. We know little of why or how. We lose pieces of ourselves when we die, and pick up pieces of others when we are born again. But less than what we lost. We tried to stop it with the animantic sciences, but with little success. No. A very small few resist Rimergan's influence and stay together through some force of defiance, at least for a time. But they all succumb eventually, I think.
Interesting. Two, I guess. A look of pity on her face as though consoling a child.
The world looks a little different than it used to, is that it? Feels like you're noticing things for the first time that have always been there. You have seen past the shroud. It only takes an instant. Your soul remembers, yes? Remembers how it sees when it leaves the body, like being reminded of a dream you had forgotten. You are a watcher now, and a watcher you will stay.
So what's a watcher?
What indeed? Long hours have many animancers spent studying such things. Not I, though. Not I. I'll tell you what I know, though, since fair is fair. And here we are, visiting, you and I, and it reminds me of better times. Souls pass on. Some say through Audra stones, which are the blood veins of the world. They leave the world for a time and are reborn into it, sometimes more than they were before, but usually less and seldom the same. For all souls there is a time where they do not live, yet have not passed on, and those souls roam the world, same as you or I, either living or lost. But no one sees them because they have forgotten how. A watcher sees, though, knows what to look for. And sometimes they know a person just by looking at them, know where they've been in ages past when their bodies were other bodies. See memories even their honor can't recall. A wonder to behold when all goes well, a wonder!
When all goes well, huh?
Oh, nothing to be afraid of, I'm sure. It's just much to take in for some. Sometimes there's trouble sleeping or other difficulties.
She smiles at you reassuringly, fanning out a tuft of long whiskers that sprouts from one of her cheeks.
You should see old Meerwald. He could tell you much more than I. A watcher just like you. Helped many in his day. Took up in an old keep no one would claim. Not far, not far. Kadnua, beyond the Black Meadow. He will welcome the company.
There you go, number 6.
Me? I'll bore you to tears, though.
There you go, number 3.
A student of the soul. Something so basic, yet so poorly understood. But so many breakthroughs have been made in my lifetime. Had been made. Had been. To hear the locals tell it, we're a gang of soul manglers that preys upon the weak-minded. And the worst of us are. But the best of us, the best? Inspirations, miracle workers. My parents were soul twins. Miserable before they met, empty inside. It was an animancer who helped one find the other, turned their lives around. You wouldn't believe the stories. Amnesiacs helped to remember their lives. The suicidal brought back from the brink of oblivion. The elderly afforded extra moments to say their goodbyes. How soon we forget when we're afraid. It's a fascinating science. A fascinating time to be alive in a place like Deerwood that does not control the research, no? I love the Valian Republics for many things, but their recent caution will leave them behind, I fear.
Number 1.
And here I thought you'd come to visit me in particular. Caldara de Baranzi, of the Valian Royal Academy of Animantic Sciences. Not the greatest of their number, but I came here all the same because this was where help was needed.
with, I think it's kind of rude and also silly to ask what happened to you, considering that we can see very well what happened to her. And it seems to me that all the people that are here kind of just got hanged because Radric decided that he wanted to hang them. So I'm gonna go with number 5.
Goodbye, my dear. It was lovely visiting.
Caldera closes her eyes and her head slumps forward over the noose. Your surroundings seem to bleed into your vision from an unknown place of waiting. This happens a lot. Never happened. I'm gonna go with number 2. It's good to know, but I don't suppose you can tell me what that was all about. I'm a watcher. Well, that is interesting. And I expect that explains how you survived a Biowak then. In any case, I appreciate your honesty. Since we're traveling together, it's probably wise for us to share these things. Another one. Only that they're rare, that they seem to have unique insights into certain soul conditions, as you just demonstrated. So we have gained enough experience to level up. So that's cool. I don't actually understand how this works. Party has gained 934 experience. Total quest experience 1300. I don't understand what that means. But, okay. So we're gonna level her up. Increase her athletics again. And increase her mechanics twice. So, we have a few options here. Lowering accuracy doesn't seem like a good idea. 20% of grazes converted to hits. Increase the minimum damage of melee weapons. Plus 10 accuracy for 16 seconds. Give me 1 moment. We have 5 minutes left. I am going to pull out the map that I did on my way to my casting thing. So, let's see. 10 accuracy is worth a lot. It's about a 50% increase at 40% damage reduction. It gets more and more ridiculous the higher your damage reduction, the higher the damage reduction on your opponent gets. So, I think that plus 10 accuracy is probably worth more than this. 20% of grazes being converted to hits. Grazes are 35% of hits, so 20% of 35%. So that's a fifth, so 7. And then you have that, so that's 3.5. So that's a 3.5% increase in damage, because you're converting 7 hits from a 50% damage swing to a 100% damage swing. In addition, you get an increase of 20% to minimum damage. I'm curious about this, because 20% increase to minimum damage seems like this would increase the maximum damage to be the minimum damage for a lot of these weapons. The 20% increase to the minimum damage, maybe not, it's only... No, it's quite a lot. So, oops. Increase to the minimum damage, or plus 10 accuracy. I think I'm going to have to go with the accuracy. It isn't permanent, which is unfortunate. It's only for 16 seconds, but this is what I got last time. I'm going to take it this time as well, and I think that the math supports it. Plus 10 to accuracy is pretty huge DPS increase because of the increased crit chance. It's 10% increased crit, assuming that you can crit. So, let's see, we're going to give him 3 athletics. This gives him minus 90% to combat fatigue gain, and plus 30% to maximum fatigue. This will mean that he'll actually be able to fight properly. We're going to get him the Curse of Blackened Sight, because this is really, really good. And we're going to get him... what? Well, let's get this. Is 15 damage reduction to all the elements. What's Hobble do? So Hobble characters have their dexterity reduced by 2, movement by 1.5, and their reflex by 20. So this is interesting because the web actually reduces your resistance to the web itself. So this is versus will. But it doesn't reduce any of the things that I really want. So this is minus 10 resolve. Minus 10 resolve would be what? Like 10. Let me see. I don't remember what all these stats do. Respectful. The last time I got combusting wounds, but I didn't find it to be terribly impressive. Fetid caress. Ooh, the target becomes paralyzed, afflicted with boiling pustules from this foul-smelling liquid that erupts from the skin, slipping the nose in the other eye. So the target is paralyzed, which means they can't act. Their dexterity is 0, their reflex and deflection are reduced by 40. Overrides stunned, stuck. This attack goes against what? It doesn't actually say. This attack versus what? The only problem is that I can't just use this on enemies willy-nilly because I'll make my characters sickened. Merciless gaze. Not very useful. Miasma of dull-mindedness. Mirror image. You know what? I'm gonna go with it. It's got plus 10 accuracy. I don't know what it is an attack against, but it's probably an attack against will. So I'm gonna go for it. So we'll try to get these two, and that's it for now. So that was my alarm going off just there.
Yeah.
So we have leveled up, and we are
17 and a half.
I'm gonna talk to this guy first. Smell of pipe smoke at once earthy and sweet winds its way into your nostrils. Your eyes trace the smoke to its origin, where you find a broad man with straw-colored hair leaning against a mossy rock wall. His pipe held to his lips in one meaty hand. He looks at you directly in the eye, but both is not aggressive. He regards you with a peculiar smirk.
17 and a half. Well, could be 18, depending on how you count the dwarf woman.
What are you talking
The
about?
people hanging from the tree. 18 of them. Well, last I counted, anyway.
Is that what you people do for fun around here?
Name's Adair. Though to the people around here, might as well be 19. Don't think I'd put you much higher than 22, 23 tops. You look like the sort that likes to get involved. The dwarf woman. You were trying to figure out whether to count her as a full person. I think you oughta.
That is not what I was doing. Looks at you alone as Bowarsh. This smirk brought
I
up.
was smoking over here, saw you staring at her. Twice I refilled my pipe. You never so much as blinked. Your mouth was so slack I took you for a Radric at first.
I'm gonna go with number one. I have no reason to. I have no understanding of how much the Radrics do or do not rule.
Careful, friend. Best not use that word round here. Could be any number of Radric bootlickers within earshot. Ciphers, animancers, watchers. Same thing in the eyes of folks around here, Radric especially. They come to these parts all the time with their cures, preying on the desperate. None of them are who they claim to be. Of course, seeing you with that funny look, I'd be halfway inclined to believe you were having some kind of communion with that dwarf. Either case, maybe I'm not 19 after all. No offense.
None taken. Good, they don't mean it personal when they hang folks here, I have to remind myself.
The town's had it in for me for a long time now. Only fellow who ever stuck up for me, well, he's number 18 up there. My headman on the farm. Used to be my captain during the war.
Caleb too. Got involved. Radric sent men down here the other day, said they'd had it on good authority someone in the town was working with Coles, plotting Radric's overthrow. Said if he didn't have come forward right then and there, they'd hang every last one of us. No one was coming forward, so Swithin, that's my headman, he steps up and says it's him. They took him at his word. Bound to happen sooner or later, if not for plotting against Radric, then for protecting me. So, war. Saints' War, only one in my lifetime. Fellow decides he's a living incarnation of Aethys, overthrows Regaceris, marches on Deerwood, so we give him the Deerwood and hello. And what's the Deerwood and hello?
We blew him up.
He smiles at this, but his smile is when recounting a joke for effect rather than amusement. Or enjoyment, rather. Who's Aethys? God of Rebirth and Redemption, formally anyhow. Maybe they call him something different where you're from.
Pick the wrong god. That's what it comes down to. Used to be a lot of Aethys worshippers in Gilded Vale. That mess of rocks over there, that was a temple to him, to give you some idea. Then one day, somebody named Widewind shows up on Deerwood's doorstep. Says he's the living flesh of Aethys. Got an army with him. Suddenly, Aethys isn't so popular in these parts. My brother Woden and me, neither of us believed it. No way was that Aethys. He enlisted, then I did too. But, he didn't make it back. After the war, people took to punishing Aethys worshippers, accusing them of treason. Got real ugly, especially after the legacy started. Folks needed someone to blame. I was safe because I fought, but then this rumor starts that my brother, that he was on the wrong side. And I wasn't so safe anymore. Until my headman stepped in and said they'd have to hang him to get to me. Seems that's no longer a concern. Of course, the townies don't do the hanging these days, but when Radric's men come, they got no problem doing the pointing.
Is his name Radric or Radric? I don't actually know. There you go, number 4. Someone who got tired of all the hangings, he's on the run now. Probably will be until they catch it. Okay. What the heck are you doing here? Drinking mostly. Point of fact, I'm on my way out. Just haven't figured out where I'm going yet. Not a whole lot of places out there where they don't think Wademan's legacy started with Wademan. We could just travel together. Where are you headed? Some place called Cade Noir. There's an old watcher there who might be able to help.
Seem to remember hearing something about that years ago. He tamed that place. People would seek him out for all kinds of things. Troubles of the soul, questions for the departed. Of course, that was back when you didn't have to say watcher with a hush on your breath. A man such as that, there'd be things I'd want to ask him. Don't know why I never thought of it before. Not sure how I feel about setting out with a stranger. And a strange one at that. But, truth be told, you might be the only one in town who wouldn't feel some relief seeing me swing from that tree.
There's a fine reason if I ever heard one.
All right, then. Guess I'll do some sightseeing. Long as you're not the one picking the sights.
As I stare at a tree for hours. So that's going to be it for this one, folks. We picked up some new party members, and we are going to be heading back to the wilds next time.